Hey, Simone here. I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the most important parts of scaling up, which is getting your team to be able to handle it. So one of the most important questions I get, or the most common questions I get is, things are going pretty well, but now how do I handle this scaling up thing? How do I make my people better? How do I help everybody have the capacity they need to have so that we can actually make it? So that brings me to the holy trifecta of increasing business results, which is your people, your systems, and your leadership. So let's talk about the people first. Chances are whoever you hired who helped you get the company off the ground were true startup quality. They were available, they were willing to work for little or for future promises, they were friends, they were fans, they were family. In short, you picked whoever would pick you because that's what you got. So going forward, I'm not saying here they weren't good people. At any stage of business, we always want to hire for can do, will do, team fit. And no, you can't ever do with just 2 out of those 3. But here's the thing, the better, more impactful, and the more leveraged the results are that you are looking for, the more expert, the more committed, and the more aligned every single person on your team must be. No exceptions to that. Now, for some of you, the aforementioned method of Lucky Charms hiring is something that you never let go of, and you are paying the price daily. But you just can't you can't seem to get yourself out of the cycle, and the churn and burn is happening because you haven't succumbed to the idea that you can't do with just 2 out of the 3 like we just talked about. And so when you think about that, if your people just are not good enough, sure, you can always train them and they're probably cheaper. And in the early phases of business, that's not a bad way to go. But when you're looking to scale, you and your team need to have future excellent skills, not yesterday's or today's good enough skills. So think about that for a moment. You need future excellent skills, not today's or yesterday's good enough skills. This is a huge distinction that I hope you're really going to take home with you. So the next thing is, if they don't just do enough, well, ever paid attention to how much of your energy is being robbed when you have somebody around who it just feels like getting them to do what you need them to do is like pulling teeth? Like Jim Collins says in Good to Great, it is not your job to motivate people. It is your job to inspire them. But if you have done your job through the clarity and the impact of your vision and they're still not inspired, then it's really time to move on and let them go to greener pastures. But notice what I just said. I said, if you have done your job, which is where systems and leadership really come to play, and you're setting people up for success. But just for the sake of this exercise, we'll just assume you have. So that also brings us to element 3. Are they a team fit? Do they play by your standards and your rules and follow your direction and your guidance? Or do they prefer to color outside the lines in a way that does not support your company and the strength of your team? So anybody who's been around me for a while may have heard my brilliant a-hole story, which very succinctly illustrates why you can never forget about team fit, even if you're drooling for this person's skill set. Don't do it. Inevitably, you will pay the price more than they can ever deliver in contribution. And the collateral damage they leave in their wake is just not worth it. So let's assume that you got the will do and the team fit covered. How do you elevate your team so that you can get this next level done? So Napoleon Hill said a long time ago in Think and Grow Rich, the most successful people are not focused on generalized knowledge. They're focused on specialized knowledge. While when you are in startup mode, it is in your best interest to hire generalists. So this is good people who can do a lot of things, and everybody does everything. There is nothing that is more powerful to elevate your team and the capacity of your company than to hire up. You'll have to find the one who's the best of the best for what you need them to do, and they're truly fired up by your vision and by your mission. And of course, that's also really scary, because what that means to you is you'll have to most likely pay a bunch more, and you'll have to get really good at selling. And when you've done the first two things, then you have to get your you-know-what together so that, one, you can make that hire really, really worth it because they are delivering way more than you're paying for them. And two, you can actually lead them and you can give them the systems to be successful in so that they won't bail when they realize that they've bet on the wrong horse and they can't have the impact in your company that they'd hoped to have. Of course, that's a big ouch, and you want to avoid that at all costs because that's expensive, that's disappointing, and that slows you down more than anything. Now, the good news here is that part we just talked about is just systems and leadership, and we'll cover that in the next few weeks. But nothing is possible without the right people. The right fit for who you are as a company. They're self-starter, they're inspired by your mission and vision, and as you're embarking on scaling, the right skill set to help you level up. Now, I'm excited for you because this is truly a moment of tremendous possibility and opportunity. And when you do it right, this may be that moment of the overnight success that's been many years in the making. Of course, that's also when things can go terribly wrong and you can lose it all. But that's why you're here, because you are looking to specialize your knowledge. And the best way you can learn more is by going to bulletproofstartups.com. And we just put up a brand new training that covers everything I just talked about in depth. So watch that training and do all the things that I'm saying. You can schedule a call with me, and I will see you next time where we'll talk a little bit more about the leadership and the system.